I mean, I'm a kid from England who's, I mean, this is fantasy land for me. I mean, this is an incredible thrill. I mean, it's just like having your first hit record, but having an Oscar is some, wow.
Elton John's unique blend of pop and rock styles turned him into one of the biggest music icons of the 20th century. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994 and knighted in 1998.
It's a great honor to work with him. He's perhaps the only man of his generation who is still getting better.
Elton John's music is the soundtrack of our lives. It'll be around forever. There are kids not yet born who will be singing along to Elton John songs.
Just use your imagination. That's the great thing about being a writer, a musician. You get to use your imagination so much.
He's had so much success. Let's be honest about Elton John. He's had a tremendous career. He's incredible. You know, he's got Oscar and he's got Grammys, and he is one of the most recognizable names in the music industry.
For most of the 70s, Elton John was a hit-making machine, churning out 25 top 40 singles, 16 top 10, and 6 #1 hits.
His music has got a timeless quality, and he may be pushing 70, but there's no way he's retiring.
And I love that he's a father now, too, so I think he's going to carry on his music legacy to his kids. But I also think that he's going to continue working in the film industry, creating soundtracks.
His rich tenor and gospel-chorded piano, boosted by aggressive string arrangements, established a unique musical formula while he reveled in an extravagant public image. At the start of the 90s, John confessed the personal costs of that extravagance, drug abuse, depression, bulimia, and revealed as well his impressive fight to regain control of his personal life.
I've been given a second chance at living a decent life. I made a complete hash of the first one, and I think the chance I've been given again, not many people get that in life. Plus the fact I had everything in my life that I had to be grateful for. I had everything anybody wanted except personal happiness. To do that, I had to reach the bottom of the depths of my soul and then find myself again. And I came out of it unscathed, which is a miracle, really, considering the positions and situations that I got myself into. And how far my drug abuse took me. And getting a second chance is pretty damn special for me.
Since the late 80s, he has been deeply involved in the fight against AIDS. And while his critical stature has varied over the years, his melodic gifts have proved undeniable.
He's had tremendous success on Broadway, and there's just no stopping the Elton John legacy.
He continues to make new music, make great new music as well. Music is evolving all the time. He wants to change with it. He still has the love of performing, and the audiences love him. So long may Elton reign.
Elton John is one of the most highly acclaimed and successful solo artists of all time. He has received 37 gold and 27 multi-platinum albums, has sold more than 250 million records worldwide, and holds the record for the biggest selling single of all time. Over the 5 decades since his career began in 1969, he has played more than 3,500 concerts in over 80 countries. And at the 2013 Men of the Year GQ Awards, he was presented with the Genius Award.
Last night I was an icon, tonight I'm a genius, tomorrow an arsehole. Wilko Johnson is a hero of mine. I remember seeing Dr. Feelgood so many times, and I want to say something about him tonight. I've said all I can about myself without getting into more trouble. There's a band that you heard earlier called The Stripes. They idolized Dr. Feelgood and Wilko. And a couple of weeks ago, I said to them, you have to meet this man, because it's like passing on the baton. It's very important that you should meet the people that you really love. And so we organized a secret gig at Canvey Island, which sold out in about 2 minutes. And they played, and Wilco came down and met them and made their lives by saying hello, and he actually came on stage and played with them and spent a lot of time with them. That, to a young band, to someone who, they're only 16 and 17-year-old boys from Ireland, kind of validates what they do. It's so important to do that. But for this man to take time out, and we all know his personal story at the moment, and the beauty of what he's going through, and telling that he's too busy living life to think about dying. And for him to do that, to go and meet these boys who loved him so much, just shows you the beauty of music and what it can do. And no matter who you love and who you don't love, that's what music does to us all. And I can't thank you enough for that. It's just, you know, if I could give you this award, I will. You can have that. You're the genius here.
Elton John is the third most successful artist in the history of the American charts, behind only Elvis and the Beatles. He has had 56 top 40 singles in the United States, a total second only to Elvis Presley. He achieved 7 #1 albums in the 3.5-year period from 1972 to 1975, a period of concentrated success surpassed only by the Beatles. Elton is famed for his collaboration with other musical superstars, and one collaboration in particular in 2001 got the whole world talking.
Elton John has a long relationship with the Grammy Awards. He's been a very successful Grammy winner over the years, but probably the moment that stands out as most identified with Elton John at the Grammys came in 2001, when he performed a very surprising duet. That was with Eminem, who'd had a huge hit with Dido with Stan. And he'd got a lot of negativity from the homosexual community for being perceived as homophobic, had Eminem. So Elton John decided to perform with him, and so that was a surprise.
The tea's gone cold, I'm wondering why I got out of bed at all. The morning rain dropped up my window. Oh, I can see it all.
And at the end of the show, they embraced. And it was kind of like two worlds colliding, if you will, and showing the uniting, healing power of music. A great musical moment and also a symbolic gesture.
Another collaboration that will go down in history was Elton's collaboration with John Lennon in 1974.
This I love because this song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, was the only #1 solo song John Lennon ever had during his lifetime. And John Lennon was very skeptical about the whole song. And you know, Elton John performed backing vocals and harmony, and he just said, this is gonna be a #1 single for you. John Lennon didn't believe him, and he said, if it does go #1, I will appear at one of your concerts. Well, the song went #1, and John Lennon showed up at Elton John's Madison Square Garden performance, and together they performed it live, and it was John Lennon's last major concert appearance.
The appearance of John Lennon at Elton's concert remains the single most memorable concert for Elton, his band, and crew, and virtually everyone else who was lucky enough to be there. Elton John has had a career like no other, and to truly gauge the magnitude of his unique journey, we have to start from the beginning. Singer, songwriter, composer, and icon Elton John was born Reginald Kenneth Dwight on March 25, 1947, in Middlesex, England. From a very early age, it was clear he had a real passion for music, and much to his family's surprise, he taught himself to play the piano when he was just 4 years old.
Music dominated Elton John's childhood. From the age of 8, he was singing and playing piano at family gatherings and public spaces.
He was raised in his maternal grandparents' house, so he had a very unique beginning and very different name than what we're used to.
He soon proved to be a great talent, winning a scholarship to a youth program at the Royal Academy of Music in London.
Even though he was being taught Bach Bill Haley and the Comets was another great interest of his. So he was listening to classic early rock and roll as well as classical music. And as his style developed, it was a kind of fusion of the two. So he was classically trained, but he had an ear for popular music.
Elton had a difficult relationship with Father Stanley Dwight, a member of the Royal Air Force. His parents divorced when he was only a teenager, and he and his father frequently argued about which direction Elton's life was going in.
Elton is such a colorful personality, but he was raised in a very conservative household, and his dad wanted him to go into something stable, like banking.
Like a lot of kids, Elton rebelled against his father. And the reason that he started wearing eccentric outfits on stage, later dressing up as everything from Donald Duck to the Statue of Liberty, was, I think, traced back to the fact that his father insisted he always dress neat and sensibly at all times.
Captivated by the early sounds of rock and roll, Elton wanted to pursue a career in pop music, and as a result, dropped out of school at the age of 17 to pursue his dream, much to his father's dismay. He started playing with a group called Bluesology, and he patched his stage name together from the names of two members of the group.
Elton John is fantastic as a name. Now, the John came from Long John Baldry, a musician that he admired and was backing with his band Bluesology. And the Elton came from the first name of the saxophonist in his group, Bluesology, Elton Dean. And so Elton John, a name that was meant to be famous.
You know, they played around the area, and Elton sort of flip-flopped between playing solo and playing with Bluesology. But, you know, in the late 60s, they really started to hit their stride, and they were one of the big bands that would back up people like the Isley Brothers and Patti LaBelle, so they did have some success.
They were really good. He wasn't the only super talented musician in it, so they quickly came to the attention of the industry and eventually did lots of shows, including 16 gigs at the iconic Marquee Club in London. So Elton was very much dipping his toe in the musical big time.
Responding to an ad in a music trade weekly in 1967, Elton John auditioned for Liberty Records. The Scouts liked his performance, but not his material. Lyricist Bernie Taupin had also replied to the Liberty ad, and one of the Scouts gave Elton a stack of Taupin's lyrics. 6 months later, the two met and started writing together. John and Taupin took their songs to music publisher Dick James, who hired them as house writers for £10 a week.
It's funny, isn't it, how some of the great partnerships in show business come together and you think, oh, what if this hadn't happened? You know, it was such a 1,000,000 to 1 chance how they met.
But it's become one of the most successful partnerships in the music industry to this day.
Elton John and Bernie Taupin would prove to be a formidable musical team. Taupin would write lyrics and deliver a bundle to Elton every few weeks. Without changing a word and only rarely consulting Taupin, John would fit tunes to the phrases. For nearly 2 years, they wrote easy listening tunes for Dick James to peddle to singers. On the side, John recorded current hits for budget labels like Music for Pleasure and Marble Arch. Seeking advice from another music producer, Steve Brown, Elton John and Bernie Taupin started writing rockier songs. The first was the single I've Been Loving You, produced by former Bluesology guitarist Caleb Quaye. In 1969, with Quaye, drummer Roger Pope, and bassist Thomas Murray, John recorded another single, Lady Samantha, and an album, Empty Sky. The records didn't sell, and John and Taupin enlisted Gus Dudgeon to produce a follow-up album. The self-titled album, Elton John, established the formula for subsequent albums, gospel-chorded rockers and poignant ballads.
This is where he reached massive proportions, because this is where you're talking about Your Song, and this was a global hit, US, Australia, Canada, the UK, and it went platinum in the US, and it really established him as a solo artist.
Your Song, which charted at number 7 in the UK charts, was a big hit in America and around the world, and remains a favourite today, and a personal favourite. This one's for you, Elton.
a little bit funny. This feeling inside, I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor,
MCA Records released the self-titled album, and John made his historical American debut at the Troubadour in LA in August 1970. Kicking over his piano bench Jerry Lee Lewis style and performing handstands on the keyboards, John left the critics raving. Your Song carried the album to the top 10 of the American charts, and with extensive radio play, sold even faster and reached number 5. By the middle of 1971, 2 more albums had been released, a live set taped from a New York radio broadcast in November 1970, and the soundtrack to the film Friends, written 3 years before. Elton John was the first act since the Beatles to have 4 albums in the American top 10 simultaneously. Madman Across the Water came out in October 1971, boasting hits Leave On and Tiny Dancer. The album Goodbye Yellow Brick Road was released in 1973.
This album, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, was massive for him. It was number 1 in 4 different countries. It's been certified 8 times over, a platinum album. You have to realize, like, as a solo artist, you are reaching extraordinary heights.
Benny, Yellow, Saturday Night, Candle. I don't even need to fill in the rest of those titles. All 4 of those were on his Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album. It's almost like a mini greatest hits package all in one. It's incredible. You know, he just had hit after hit after hit after hit, and that was the launchpad to a golden era.
In the mid-70s, John's concerts filled arenas and stadiums worldwide. He was the hottest act in rock and roll.
It's very rare for singers to be both critically and commercially adored, but that's what happened to Elton John from 1970 to 1976, because his records were right up at the top of the charts, but the critics loved him too. It was a golden period.
If you really think about it, Elton John was untouchable, not only in the UK and the US, but globally. He just had so much success, album after album, single after single. He really had an incredible career during that time, and his creativity was at its peak.
After recording Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, the first album ever to enter the charts at number 1, John overhauled his band. New members were brought in.
Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy reached number 1. But that's not the interesting part about it. It's the fact that it stayed at the top of the charts for 7 weeks, which was the first album to ever do so. And that was exciting for Elton John and his career. It's been certified 3 times platinum, so it's been a very successful album for him.
With his new band in place, John introduced the lineup before a crowd of 75,000 people at London's Wembley Stadium in the summer of 1975.
And during this golden period, he played one of the greatest shows of his life. 1975, Wembley Stadium, 75,000 people turning out to see Elton John in concert. I mean, now we traditionally think of Wembley Stadium in London as the venue for these huge concerts, but it was a new thing then, and Elton proved that you could fill a football stadium for a rock concert.
After the monumental gig at Wembley Stadium, Elton John's frenetic recording pace began to slow down, and he performed less often. A live album, Here and There, had been recorded in 1974. John's biggest hit in 1976 was the number 1 Kiki Dee duet, a single from the downbeat Blue Moves album. Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word reached number 6. In November 1997, John announced he was retiring from performing. He secluded himself in any of his 3 mansions, appearing in public only to cheer on the Watford Football Club, an English soccer team that he later purchased. Many speculated that John's retreat from stardom was prompted by adverse reaction to his 1976 admission in Rolling Stone that he was bisexual. In 1979, accompanied by Ray Cooper, John became the first Western pop star to tour the Soviet Union. He then embarked on a 2-man comeback tour of the U.S. in smaller venues. Elton John returned to the singles chart with Mama Can't Buy You Love, a song from an EP recorded in 1977 with Philadelphia soul producer Tom Bell. A new album, Victim of Love, failed to make an impact on the charts, and by 1980, John and Taupin reunited to write songs for various labels, and the single Little Genie reached number 3. At a free concert in New York Central Park, an estimated 400,000 fans turned out, and it was later broadcast on HBO. John had signed a new recording contract. His second, Geffen LP, Jump Up, contained Empty Garden, Hey Hey Johnny, his tribute to John Lennon, which he performed at his sold-out Madison Square Garden show in August 1982. Yoko Ono and Sean Ono Lennon, Elton John's godchild, joined him on the stage. In 1983, Elton recorded a version of I Guess That's Why They Call It the Blues, featuring Stevie Wonder on harmonica. Elton had his biggest hit since 1980, and while his latest music couldn't match his 70s success, he would continue to place in the top 10 throughout the 80s. The 80s were years of personal turmoil for Elton John. In 1984, he surprised many by marrying studio engineer Renate Blau. While the marriage lasted 4 years, John later maintained that he had realized that he was gay before the marriage. In 1986, he lost his voice while touring Australia and shortly thereafter underwent throat surgery.
And it soon became clear that it wasn't a case of, well, in 3 or 4 days it'll be fine, Elton, don't worry about it. He needed surgery. He had to have non-cancerous polyps removed from his vocal cords.
This is a common injury for musicians, but it did take him out of commission for 2 months.
And after the surgery, which was successful, his voice was changed forever as a result, going from a tenor to a baritone, but still in great voice as he continues to be to this day. But, that surgery was very helpful at the time, and, it kept him on the road for many more years.
John continued recording prolifically, but years of cocaine and alcohol abuse were beginning to take their toll. In 1988, John performed 5 sold-out shows at New York's Madison Square Garden. His final concert, his 26th, breaking the Grateful Dead's career record of 25 sold-out Garden appearances. In later interviews, he deemed 1989 the worst period of his life, comparing his mental and physical deterioration to Elvis Presley's last years. Around that time, he was deeply affected by the plight of Ryan White, an Indiana teenager with AIDS. Along with Michael Jackson, John befriended and supported the boy and his family until White's death in 1990. Confronted by his then lover, John checked into a Chicago hospital in 1990 to combat his drug abuse, alcoholism, and bulimia. In recovery, he lost weight and underwent hair replacement and subsequently took up residence in Atlanta, Georgia.
I've been given a second chance at living a decent life. I made a complete hash of the first one, and I think the chance I've been given again, not many people get that in life. Plus the fact I had everything in my life that I had to be grateful for. I had everything anybody wanted except personal happiness. To do that, I had to reach the bottom of the depths of my soul and then find myself again. And I came out of it unscathed, which is a miracle, really, considering the positions and situations that I got myself into and how far my drug abuse took me. And getting a second chance is pretty damn special for me. Because when you're a drug addict, you're so irresponsible. You don't turn up for anything. You cancel things like that. You're just not a rational human being. You know, the more sober I get and the more comfortable within my own skin, I think addiction is about running away from all the stuff that I suffered as a kid, and you know, and I just ran away from it and buried myself in a Coke spoon or food or whatever. And now I'm comfortable. I don't mind. I'm proud of who I am. I don't think it's a big deal for someone in the entertainment business, really. It's a big deal for someone who lives in a small town. But it's not a big deal, I don't think, if you're an artistic person. A lot of artistic people are gay. Come on. Hey. Am I in love right now? Very much in love. Yes, I am. Am I excited about the Grammys? I've never been to the Grammys. I've never had a Grammy. I won one for Best Group with Stevie Wonder. So, yes, it's very nice. Everything seems to be happening at the moment for me. So, who am I in love with? That's my personal life. The thing that makes me happy now is that I've said it before, that I think I'm a reliable human being, that I turn up on time, that I have a conscience, that my family can speak to me when I'm actually compos mentis. Aside from the work things in my life that are fabulous, my own personal life has sorted itself out, and that makes me happier than anything.
In 1992, he established the Elton John AIDS Foundation, intending to direct 90% of the funds it raised to direct care and 10% to AIDS prevention education. He also announced his intention to donate all future royalties from sales of his singles in the US and the UK to AIDS research.
Well, I'm a gay man. I had a lot of friends that were dying. I'd lost a lot of people. And other people like Elizabeth Taylor inspired me to do so, and, you know, it seemed the thing to do. I wish I'd have spoken out a little bit more. I didn't have the courage to act up or something like that. And the outrage and the needed anger that was, that they unfortunately had to vent upon the nation. But I don't know, it affected me very deeply. Being sober and clean for me means that I can turn up and be hands-on, and run things properly and be able, I have plenty of time on my hand now. Instead of sitting in my room putting coke up my nose, I can sit on a board and talk about how we can help somebody. And that for me means much more.
You spent so much time dedicated to the fight against AIDS and raise awareness. Do you ever have any fear that it might become so mundane or so overdone?
Yeah, I mean, there is a danger that we might become so complacent because you get numb. I mean, I lose friends now and I'm numb. I don't even cry. Because it's just a regular occurrence, and there is a danger that you can become complacent. But I think what everybody said on stage tonight in the speeches, with maybe the change in government that may happen here, complacency is not going to be a thing. I think people are going to be having to go back to the trenches again. We just need to be as continuous, being compassionate. We need to educate people even more. Education is so important. If you educate people, it eventually gets through to them, numbers go down. In England, when the AIDS epidemic first happened, the government over there, we had one of the best education schemes. The numbers went down, and then they said, oh, the numbers are falling, so we won't educate people. The numbers went up again. We've got to continue to educate people. I think it's important in my life to have something else to do other than be Elton John, and to be so self-absorbed all the time. And what am I going to do? What am I going to write? What am I going to record? Where am I going to tour? I have to have something else to concentrate on. Before, I used to have a soccer club, and I did that. And now now I've sobered up, cleaned my act up, I decided to give, as I said on Thursday night, I've been given a second chance at my life. I deserve to do something good for me, to give something back, and it's just something I feel I have to do.
It's been a charity that's been very near and dear to his heart. In fact, each year he throws an Oscar viewing party in Los Angeles, and it's one of the hottest parties to attend. People get all dressed up, they walk the red carpet. If they're not at the Oscars, they're at Elton John's party.
So Elton, you obviously have many talents. Party thrower is also one of them. How does it feel?
Well, I love throwing a party, and I love having a great party, and we're having a great party in there tonight. You know, we're slapping people around the face, trying to get them to wake up. Well, come on, it's just like, it's hard to sit there for 4 hours. I mean, luckily we had enough food to last. I mean, yeah, forget Y2K, this was an even bigger problem in here tonight.
Is there one particular person you hope does make a stop by here this morning?
Well, anyone from American Beauty, because I voted for it, and I just thought it was by far the best film. And also anyone from Topsy Turvy, Mike Leigh, who I think should have been nominated as Best Director, and it should have been nominated as Best Film. Probably one of the greatest achievements of filmmaking in the last 10 years, that movie.
So yeah, they did win a few awards.
They won 2 awards, which they won costume and makeup. Yep, and and he deserved to win many more.
That's great. And then, can I get your opinion on who do you think was this year's Oscars it girl?
Well, I have to say Hilary Swank. Yeah, she's the most beautiful girl. Fantastic. I'm very happy for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
If you think back to that great song with Dionne Warwick and Friends, That's What Friends Are For, that was one of his many songs which has donated money to AIDS charities. It's very much been his cause, and he's been a champion.
Yeah. I don't know. I came here in 1970 and I played the Troubadour Club, and I never slept with someone of my own sex, and I went to San Francisco and did it, and I've always wanted to, and I suppose it's because, if you're being honest, you're away from home and you feel as if you can do that. A lot of gay people are afraid of having sex in their own area because they don't want to be, they're afraid of being found out or whatever, and the stigma that goes with that, so they go somewhere else to do it. It's a horrible thing. You have to run and hide from yourself, and maybe I was doing that, but I'm sure glad I did.
Also in 1992, he released the #8 album, The One, his highest charting release since 1976's Blue Moves. And John and Topin signed a music publishing deal with Warner Chappell Music, an estimated $39 million, 12-year arrangement that would give them the largest cash advance in music publishing history. Later that year, at the Freddie Mercury Memorial and AIDS benefit concert at Wembley Stadium, John duetted with Axl Rose on Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, a reconciling gesture given Rose's previously homophobic reputation. Elton John collaborated with Tim Rice on music for the animated film The Lion King. The soundtrack featured Can You Feel the Love Tonight, an Academy Award winner for Best Original Song and a Grammy winner for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. At the Academy Awards ceremonies, John acknowledged his domestic partner, Canadian filmmaker David Furnish.
Wow. That year's 5 Oscar nominees for Best Motion Picture Song, 3 of the nominees were from The Lion King. The one that won was Can You Feel the Love Tonight? It meant that Elton took home an Oscar to add to his many music trophies, and well-deserved too. And what an afterlife The Lion King has had. It later, of course, got adapted into a stage musical and continues to be a smash hit on Broadway, in the West End, and around the world.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you. What a birthday.
Now, we know that, they're all your children, but was there one of them that you were kind of rooting for over the others, or would...
I think Can You Feel the Love Tonight, I thought would be, if any song was going to win it of ours, that would be the song. So I'm glad that one won it. It was the biggest hit, and I think the best song of the 3.
Geert Hamaakers, VTM Belgium. What's the difference between writing songs for live actions instead of animations?
For live action, or what?
Well, we haven't written together for live action films, but in my case, having written some stuff for the stage in the past, there really is no difference if you write for Argentine dictator's wife or a flatulent warthog, you still have to make the character has to be believable. So, I mean, you have to imagine that the character you're writing for is real, and so it's the same, really.
I must admit, when I was writing songs for Warthog, I thought, my God, what does my life come to? I didn't know what that.
Elton, is it tougher writing songs for hire as opposed to writing songs that are just sort of floating through the breezes of your mind?
Actually, it isn't. I mean, because I don't write very often, and I write maybe once a year. And these songs were written an awful long time ago. They were actually written at the same time as I was writing songs for the One album in 1991. So it was, I was writing those songs at the same time. So no, it's no different to me. It was maybe more of a challenge because I was writing it with kids in mind, which I don't normally do when I'm writing for myself.
What were some of the qualities in the animals or the storyline that moved you to translate it into music?
Well, the original storyboard was so appealing, and it changed so much. When you write for an animated feature, they want the songs more or less straight away so that they can pin certain sequences around the songs. And it was very easy for me, actually, because I just had to write the melody. Tim had to do about 50 rewrites on each song. But it was just you knew that it was going to be humorous. You knew that it was going to be, the end product was going to be of a certain quality. So there wasn't that much of a risk involved, I don't think.
So, Elton.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of success, a lot of acclaim over the years from your music. At this point in your life now, what does that thing in your hand really mean?
This is one of the most exciting things has ever happened to me. I mean, it's just, I never thought in my life I would ever be holding one of these. And it's a big thrill and a big kick. I mean, because I'm a musician, I'm not in film, so I mean, just to get an Oscar is just quite astounding. I'm very thrilled.
Elton, you've performed in huge arenas, you've performed on very important occasions, but this is the Oscars.
Yeah.
How did you get ready for this? What did it mean to you, and what did it feel like up there?
Well, I've been here since 2 o'clock, so actually, I didn't get nervous until I put my clothes on, and then I really started to get a little nervous. It's going to be seen by a billion people, and I don't care what you say when you're up there singing, you get I was shaking a little, and I just wanted to sing the song without making a mistake.
I never get nervous, I take my clothes off.
Elton?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a kid from England who's, this is fantasy land for me. I mean, this is an incredible thrill. I mean, it's just like having your first hit record, but having an Oscar is wow. He's already got one, so it's not,
Elton, do you think that writing for Lion King and the popularity of Lion King, the music, secures your position for the next generation?
Well, I just said in the other room, I get accosted now by 6-year-olds at airports saying, we love The Lion King, which I find really sweet because that's what we wrote the music for and the songs.
I think sparing his blushes, his music is pretty secured for the next few generations anyway, so.
Elton and Tim, following in the footsteps of Beauty and the Beast, would you like to see this story and your songs go to Broadway?
The Lion King?
The Lion King, I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
Can you imagine having to play the lion? I mean,
and we'd have to audition 2 guys for every part.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind that.
Hello, wait, hello, wait, excuse me. Right here. Hello. Hello.
For me. Whoa.
Hello.
Cut.
Hi. Could I just get you both to hold up your Oscars for a shot?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question for Tim. Tim, we've spoken after you've won Grammys, and now we're speaking after you've won Oscars. What's the agita like on a day of the Oscars, the build-up, as opposed to the agita on the day of the build-up to the Grammys?
I think one has to say the Oscar is the big one, particularly that all around the world. In England, everybody knows what an Oscar is, and with great respect to the Grammys and the Tonys, which are wonderful awards, I'm not sure that they have quite that instant buzz all around the world. So this is the one. People always say to me in England, where's your Oscar? They don't say, where's your anything else? Well, not any other award. If I have a good day, they maybe want to see other things. But this is the one that really matters. So I'm dead chuffed.
Now, you're both best known for your writing with each of you other partners.
Yeah.
Now, talk about this partnership. How does this work out?
Well, actually, Tim and I had collaborated on an album of mine called Jump Up in 1982, with a song called The Legal Boys. So we've known each other for ages and ages and ages. Bernie Taupin, who I write with constantly, and I've been writing with for 28 years, would be the first to admit that it's not in his line of writing, this kind of work. And so he would not be interested in it. So it gives me the opportunity to write with other people, as he's had in his life. I don't think our relationship, which is a very special relationship for me, our relationship, would have lasted if we hadn't had the freedom to work with other people. And I think it's healthy for that to happen. And I'm delighted to work with Tim.
I'm thrilled to work with EJ here, obviously.
Oh, I see.
When they said you won, what did you instantly feel? And on somewhat calm reflection, is there anything more that you would have said up there when you accepted?
Well, I think I made a bit of a cock-up in my speech. I didn't quite hog it for long enough. No, it's funny because some people make wonderful speeches and go on a long time, and one dreads really being boring. And I thought this year I'll let Elton get on quickly. So, I mean, you can go on forever thanking your dog, you know, this, that, and the other, but Elton had something important to say which worked well, and I just wanted to say I'm grateful to all those who helped.
Same for me. I mean, I just wanted to be concise and quick and get out. I mean, nothing's more boring than someone going on and on and on and on. Right?
Like you are now.
Like me, yes.
Elton, I want to know if this is addictive now. You're holding onto that statue so tightly. Are you going to write more music for movies?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I wrote music a long time ago for a movie called Friends, and then I said no, never again. But I think now, yes. I mean, it saved me from touring so much. Live action, I'd love to do live action.
Yeah,
I'd love to write a musical and maybe more animation and other things as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The new album was made and finished last May, but because of the success of The Lion King and the film and the album, we've put it under wraps. It's now coming out in March. It's called Made in England, and it was made in England. I'm very proud of it. I think it's the best thing I've done for a long time. And, you know, to follow up the line, to have The Lion King be so successful and then have my album coming out, if I don't make a success of it and it's no good, then it'll fall on its, you know, it'll find its own place. But I've been set up pretty well by this movie. I can't complain. My career at the moment hasn't been any better than this.
The year 1997 was significant for John both personally and professionally. He lost two close friends, designer Gianni Versace and Princess Diana.
We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed. They were apparently being pursued by paparazzi on two motorcycles. We have some of the latest pictures from the scene. This was the car that Diana, Dodi Fayed were traveling in. Clearly a horrendous impact. There's one of the airbags clearly visible in the front end of the car. The reports are that Diana has been killed. Dodi Fayed also died, as did the driver of the car.
Upon Diana's death, Bernie Taupin reworked the lyrics of Candle in the Wind, a song originally written about Marilyn Monroe in 1973. The resulting tribute, Candle in the Wind 1997, easily became the all-time highest certified single, with U.S. sales of 11 million in the first month. All proceeds were donated to the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fund.
So it was a year of a lot of emotional blows to him. And, you know, near and dear to him really was Lady Diana. They had been longtime friends. And, you know, I think that they always felt like outsiders. So they had a lot in common. So losing her was really tough on him.
He debuted the song for the first time at Westminster Abbey, and it is the emotional high point moment of that funeral. It was released as a single and became the fastest selling single in the history of the world. Such was Elton's ability to capture the emotions of the world that song gave an outlet to everybody on the planet who was suffering grief, like he was, for the loss of Diana. His emotion came through in every single bit of the song, and that's why it was so authentic, so genuine, and was such a great record and a wonderful tribute.
And your footsteps will always fall here along England's greenest hills. Your candles burned out long before your legend ever will.
it was a really hard performance for him. He had no idea. I mean, he said in later interviews, he had no idea how he was going to make it through. And in fact, he can't even watch that video. He'll go back and like see a snippet of it, and it just brings him back to that time and that sadness, and it's something that he just doesn't want to remember.
Also in 1997, vestiges of the flamboyant Elton resurfaced as he threw a 50th birthday party for 500 friends. Dressed typically extravagant, the outfit cost more than $80,000. In 1999, John had a pacemaker installed to overcome a minor heart problem. Also that year, he collaborated again with Tim Rice, this time on a Broadway musical version of Verdi's opera, Aida. The pair also collaborated on a DreamWorks animation feature, The Road to El Dorado.
Well, Hans is one of the best arrangers and scorers there are. I mean, I've worked with him on The Lion King, and we became very good friends. I've known Hans for a very long time, and when he was on this project, I felt very relieved because you know that you're in very good hands and that your songs that you write will be arranged for the screen, and he will take the utmost care and interpret them better than anyone else can, probably. So I love working with Hans.
What's the challenges for you of writing a musical such as this, as opposed to your own songs, which we all love?
Well, this you have to follow a storyline. It's actually much easier to write a song when you've got a storyline because you're writing for characters. When you're writing a song, say if I'm writing with Bernie Taupin and he gives me a lyric on a page, it's a one-off adventure story. This all ties in, so you've got a link, and you've got to write 5 or 6 songs that go into the movie and that are cohesive. So it's actually easy, much easier to write for a stage show or an animated movie because you've got a story and you've got characters and you know what those characters are.
Everyone has said they're here to see Elton John or to hear his music. What are you here to see tonight?
I haven't seen the film finish, so I'm here to see the movie.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The 2000s witnessed something of an Elton renaissance. With the 2001 album Songs from the West Coast, he sat down at the piano and made an old-fashioned Elton John album. And the result was his best platter since Rock of the Westies. The album Peachtree Road played like a sequel to Songs from the West Coast, with Elton and Bernie Taupin turning in some of their most personal songs ever, as well as ballads like They Call Her the Cat, about a post-op transsexual woman. Billed as the official follow-up to Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, The Captain and the Kid was an autobiographical concept album about Elton and Taupin's lives since the 70s, rocking out with red-blooded fervor on hot ones like Just Like Noah's Ark.
Has the message changed as awareness has grown about HIV and AIDS?
No, the message hasn't changed, but the message has to be repeated often and over again. We see such a rise in the infection rate in America recently, and it's like, oh God, not again. And it seems to be that every 10 or 11 years you have a new generation of kids that come up and you have to start all over again with them, which is really boring, but it's necessary. But it could all be saved if we could get into schools and educate kids about HIV, but it's never been the case in this country, and that has to change.
Why is Oscar night a good night to
because he gets so much publicity, and we get so much publicity, and people are in a good mood, and they give us lots of money, which is fabulous.
And one of the most glamorous nights of the year. I mean, everybody loves the Oscars, so it's a great backdrop for a party.
Anyone you're really rooting for to win it?
Kate Winslet for The Reader.
Yeah.
Elton John married his longtime life partner David Furnish in a civil ceremony on December 21st, 2005, the same day the Civil Partnership Act 2004 went into effect.
I've met Tab before, but it's great that he's coming. Axl Rose is coming, Beck's coming, and a lot of good friends that have been here every year. I think one year we were in a booth with Bruce Springsteen, Nicolas Cage,
Jim
Carrey,
Emma Thompson,
and Prince in a 6-seater booth. That was pretty amazing.
What is the most special thing about the foundation tonight?
I think that we're raising so much money. Hopefully we'll net $2.5 million, which is $1.5 million more than we've ever done before. And each year we try and raise more money for people who need it and have a good time in the process.
I think it's a wonderful thing you do.
Thank you so much.
How do you decide on who's going to be the performer of the night?
Oh, John Legend is performing tonight, and I'm just going to sing a couple of songs with him.
How do you decide? How do you choose?
Oh,
you sing every year?
No, I choose them every year, and I like to choose people who've just come up. Or we started with Nelly Furtado, and I think we went to Ryan Adams. We've had Joss Stone, we've had John Mayer, we've had the Scissor Sisters, and now we've got John Legend. So, all these people have made like one or two albums, and they're fairly new, and I love their music. So if I like them, I ask them to do it, and they do it. I'm very happy.
And how are you going to keep your energy up for the whole night?
Oh, it'd be fine.
Adrenaline.
Be fine, adrenaline.
And caffeine.
Yeah, Diet Coke and adrenaline. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Continuing his musical adventure into the film world, Elton contributed to the soundtrack of the animated film Romeo and Juliet.
What's the biggest challenge on this project in particular?
Getting it done. It took 11 years. It was greenlit 11 years ago. It's had so many different lives. It's been given the death sentence a couple of times when we've had to resuscitate it. My job as executive producer is to ring the head of the studio at Walt Disney and say, "You're wrong, we've got to sit down and talk about this." And finally, when Dick Cook became chairman of the studio, he said, "I love this project. We've never done it right. You go away, make the film you want to do, but I want Elton John classic music in it." I said, "You've got a bargain." We did the film in Canada away from Disney, and it worked really, really well because it's a British film and they didn't really know what to do with it. I want them to be able to think, I'd love to see that again. I've seen it 3 times, and it gets better every time I see it. And it's got a great message for kids, and also it's very funny. Artistically, it looks wonderful, and it's a great story. It's one of the most famous stories with a kind of happier ending than the original, which we took poetic license. We didn't want the kids crying as they came out. But I think it's a very uniquely British film. And I think the animation is phenomenal, and I think it stands up to anything that's out there at the moment. I mean, the high point of animation is Pixar films. Obviously, that's within the Disney studio, and we've made a film that I think could qualify nearly as a Pixar film. So,
Shakespeare, gnomes, and one of the most amazing casts brought together at all. How much fun was it being involved with all of that?
It was great fun. It was really, really wonderful. The casts were amazing. Everybody was so enthusiastic about it. Working with Elton's music, Lady Gaga, Nelly Furtado, it doesn't get much better than that.
And did you have a favourite character from it that you took away?
I love the frog. Nanette. Yeah. You're doomed. You're doomed.
I love Ozzy Osbourne for me, amazing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Ozzy is fun. It's pretty funny.
Ozzy's pretty brilliant. All the characters in it are pretty damn good.
And are you guys fans of gnomes? Do you have them at home at all, or?
We have a kind of mooning gnome in France.
Brilliant. And now the gnomes in the house in London.
We have gnomes in the house in London.
Yeah, brilliant. Collecting them.
Thanks so much.
Thanks very much.
With help of a surrogate, Elton John and David Furnish welcomed their first son, Zachary Furnish John, in December 2010, and welcomed their second child, Elijah Joseph Daniel Furnish John, in January 2013. 9 years after their civil ceremony on December 21st, 2014, the couple wed after laws allowing gay marriage took effect the same year in Britain.
Yeah, I can't believe it's our 22nd year. We always say that every year. It's an amazing achievement. We're very, very privileged to be able to do this, and we're very grateful for the Hollywood community for supporting us.
Well, I just feel like, I'm the biggest fan in the world of him. Me and my mom, we love him to death. So anytime I can come out and, support something that he's, ahead of is really special.
They've supported us amazingly well for 22 years. And it's important that they do because this is one of our main fundraisers of the year. And so it's an important thing for us as a fundraising organization. And also it raises a lot of money for people who desperately need it.
AIDS is a terrible disease. And I just love Elton so much that, once you put those two together and I saw what he was doing for the foundation and what he does nonstop for them, I thought I'd love to come to the party and be a piece of it. So gave the house away last year and made $1 million. And so I figured I'd do it again. It's my happy place. I love it there, and makes my heart feel good.
Well, it's just amazing what he does. I mean, every single year, it's like all the celebrities come out, all the winners come out, and they come and they support him. And he's just been such a compassionate person, and the work that he does is just so amazing. It's really beautiful. He always gives back.
Because it's not about being a celebrity when you're here. It's about the charitable work that Elton does and the lives that he saves, and you get to wear a pretty dress at the same time.
I love Elton John, and I'm honored that he asks me every year to come to his big event. He raises so much money to help people that are living with AIDS right now and HIV, and I think it's amazing what he does. So I always love coming to support him and be part of the party and talk about it, so that we all raise more money to help him help other people.
I've been doing this, if I'm in LA, I do this with Elton. Elton's been an old friend, and we worked on a lot of AIDS committees together, so this is a great cause, and why not?
I only really like a couple of films this year. My favorite film was Dallas Buyers Club, and that was the best performance by 100 miles.
I agree. And then I know you guys always have a performance night. Who can people look forward to seeing take the stage?
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah. So I've had an involvement in his career because I own the company that manages him. So he's been a protege for a long time. I'm so proud of him, and he's going to knock people sideways tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
In terms of sales and lasting popularity, Elton John was the biggest pop superstar of the early 70s. His versatility, combined with his effortless melodic skills, dynamic charisma, and flamboyant stage shows, made him an icon, and he has cemented his place in music history.
Elton John's music is the soundtrack of our lives. It'll be around forever. There are kids not yet born who will be singing along to Elton John songs. That's a fantastic achievement. His music has got a timeless quality.
It's a great honour to work with him. It's perhaps the only man of his generation who is still getting better. I mean, all the other great stars who came up in the 60s and 70s have maybe a little bit plateaued out. But Elton is, I've just heard his new album, it is...
Steady on, old boy.
No, that's enough, right.
Steady on.
He's had so much success. Let's be honest about Elton John. He's had a tremendous career. He's incredible. He's got Oscar and he's got Grammys, and he is one of the most recognizable names in the music industry. And I love that he's a father now, too, so I think he's going to carry on his music legacy to his kids. But I also think that he's going to continue working in the film industry, creating soundtracks. He's had tremendous success on Broadway, and there's just no stopping the Elton John legacy.
He may be pushing 70, but there's no way he's retiring. He continues to make new music, make great new music as well. Music is evolving all the time. He wants to change with it. He still has the love of performing, and the audiences love him. So long may Elton reign.
What I do is, I'm very lucky to be able to do what I do. And I just have a lot of energy, and I love music. It's always been my life as a kid. So you should always aspire to get better. Sometimes it don't work, but I feel as if I'm getting better.